meeting, and when voting begins, unmute your microphone to be prepared to vote when it's your turn. And what I've agreed with Clive this evening is if something's to be noted, then we'll do that by exception. And if something is to be obviously voted on, we'll do that via a roll call. Is that okay with everyone? So, okay, I think we're just about ready now, so we'll be getting ready to go live. Just remind everybody that we're now live. Good evening and welcome to this evening's Resources Board on the 9th of November. We have our evacuation procedure on the agenda, but as there's only myself and a couple of other officers in the chamber tonight, I don't think we need to read that out today. I have apologies for absence as agenda item number 2. I've got apologies from Councillor Dervix, and I have substitute Councillor Osborne. Thank you. Are there any, item number 3, are there any disclosable pecuniary or non-pecuniary interests? Take that as a no. Moving on. And as we have no public with us this evening, there isn't any public participation. Oh, sorry, I've skipped over item number 4, minutes of the Resources Board held on the 8th of September 2020. So if we go through that page by page, if there are any comments or any questions, if you put your hand up, that would be great. So in our pack, that's page 4.1, page 4/2, and 4/3. Okay, so for me on my pack, that's page 7 of 74, page 8 of 74, 9 of 74, and page 10 of 74. Is that okay? Are there any comments? I'll propose those minutes from the chair. Do I have a second?
I can second that.
Thank you, Councillor Singh. Just pop that there. Just bear with me for a second. I'm just getting my iPad sorted so I can see if anyone's got their hand up. Okay. So if we move to item number 6, internal audit and half-yearly report 2021. The recommendation to the board tonight that we progress against the approved plan of Appendix A and B and the work of the Counter Fraud Officer to be noted. And that B, that the proposed changes to the internal audit plan for 2021 be approved. Are there any questions? I can't see anyone's hand up, so I'll move that from the chair. Do I have a second?
I'll second, Dave Humphreys.
Sorry, I can see there that Councillor Colin Hayfield had his hand up. He's behind my picture. Sorry, would you like to come in on that?
I was just putting my hand up to second, Chair, that was all.
Ah, lovely, thank you. So I've got a proposal from the chair and a second from Councillor Humphreys. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 7. This is the progress report on achievement of the corporate plan and performance indicator targets, April to September 2020. The recommendation to the board this evening is that members consider the performance achieved and highlight any areas for further improvement investigation. Do I have any comments or any questions regarding this item? Councillor Simpson.
Move the recommendation, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Simpson. Got a recommendation to move. Any
Second.
Thank you, Councillor Hayfield. Second from Councillor Hayfield there. All in favour? There's a recommendation as opposed to noting. Okay, Mr. Tobin, do we have to go through a roll call on that one?
Chair, I mean, if there were any issues that members wanted to highlight for further investigation, I'd say so, because you'd obviously then have to refer to that specific point. However, if it's simply being accepted, then we can do so without a vote, without a call.
Lovely, thank you. Moving on to, so that's proposed and seconded, so we'll move on to agenda item number 8, which is the homelessness service. The report in this recommendation to the board tonight, that A, that the current national and local position with regard to homelessness applications be noted, and that B, with the use of additional support services referred to in the report, which meet the needs of homeless applicants, be commended and supported. I'd just like to say that this is a really good report that's been put together, and it's really comprehensive and gives a really good oversight on what has been happening, and really gives some insight into what's generating homelessness in our borough. I can see I've got hands up there. I've got Councillor Farrell, Councillor Chambers and Councillor Simpson. So we take them in that order. Councillor Farrell.
That was a mistake. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put my hand up on that. Sorry. I got the wrong
That's
button.
okay.
Carry on.
That's
Carry on
okay.
without me.
I'll move on to Councillor Chambers then.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I would like to commend this report. I think it's a very comprehensive report, and as you yourself said, it gives us a real insight to some of the challenges that there have been over the last 6 months and the way in which the borough has responded. I tried from the report to try and understand what lies ahead in terms of, you know, the immediate period of this lockdown and into Christmas. And I just wondered if it might be helpful if Angela could just tease out the kind of key points as to, you know, how some of this is going to continue or not, particularly around landlords and evictions and the actual provision of accommodation. It read to me that we were using our social housing very much as the kind of safety net to ensure that people that were becoming homeless were accommodated. And I guess that raises the question, you know, in terms of the use of our social housing stock, as to how long we can go on doing that without impacting on, if you like, families that are not being made homeless, not being able to move up the waiting list and get accommodated. So I just thought it would be helpful if Angela can give us a little bit more of a summary, because I found it difficult to just understand that from a quick read. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that something that you would like Angela to talk about now, or is that something that you would like her to write in terms of out to the board after the meeting?
Well, I was thinking if other members are interested, I mean, I do think it's important in terms of where we are now and the likelihood that the next 6 months is not going to be all that different in terms of, you know, restrictions and the impact of, you know, people losing jobs, being unable to afford their accommodation and potential for future evictions. I know some of that can't be predicted, but if other members are interested, then you know, let's have a little bit of an insight from Angela now. But if not, then I can certainly pick up the phone and talk to her. Thank you.
Angela, is that something you could give a quick précis of?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Chair. The report was written before the second lockdown was announced. But even at that point, the bailiffs had indicated that they wouldn't have any evictions between the middle of December and the beginning of January. So the current lockdown has extended that. So effectively, with regard to private tenants, there won't be any evictions at all from now until the middle of January. And of course, that's for social housing tenants as well. So that's housing associations and our own stock. So that's quite a protection for people into the middle of January. The mortgage holiday, if we can call it that, because it still has to be paid in the end, is extended as well. So there are some clear protections there from government till we get to the other side of Christmas and into January. We are having a little bit more of families asking people to leave. It's been a very long, hard year if you're sharing accommodation. So we've seen a little bit more of that. But generally, I think in North Warwickshire, families do pull together and help each other out. So although I agree with Councillor Chambers that care needs to be taken about how much of our own stock we're using for homelessness, because obviously people can't share in current circumstances, it is still really quite a small percentage of the accommodation that we're using. And we still are intent on pulling people off the waiting list as the priority to get them rehoused in the longer term. So there is always a balance to be struck. And as you say, I mentioned a couple of times in the report about the economic shock that we're all expecting when we get to the other side of this year. But it is unknown. You know, the most recent recession that we had did still offer protections for people with mortgages, and the low interest rates did help with that. But I think we just have to keep a very close eye on the changes that will come through with regard to applications, because we are likely to get applications from people who have got mortgages, and then there will be pent up landlords who will be seeking possession for private tenants in the new year. But the courts have got quite lengthy lists to go through, so I think it'll be a slow burn, and probably we'll start to see a difference March time, I would have thought, depending on what happens with more lockdowns and COVID generally.
Sorry, I can't hear you, Chairman. You'll think you're muted.
Sorry, it was to thank you, Angela. And I was just saying, Councillor Chambers, you put your hand back up to come back in on that point.
Well, it was actually a separate question of fact, really, in terms of this Preventing Homelessness, Improving Lives project. I think you made the comment that a very different approach was taken by and through this project, but I wasn't clear who the service provider was, whether it was a third, sorry, those are our dogs, a third sector provider, or how in a sense, are there lessons we can learn in terms of the kind of innovative way in which this particular project is being taken forward, and in terms of the way that we operate. So it's a separate question.
Okay, so you're meaning Phil there, the project. Do you want to come back in on that, Angela?
I can do, Chair. Thank you. It's a joint project with all of the boroughs involved. So it sits on the top of the services, the option services that we already deliver, and it's hosted by Rugby, and it was funded by government through the Trailblazers. So we've all had a vested interest in getting this new service to work. And effectively, it reaches out to other partners to seek out people who are threatened with homelessness that might not come to us for a very, very long time. But yeah, no, it's not third sector. It's managed by the 5 district councils, but it's almost like an arm's length, semi-independent part of that draws in homelessness at a very early stage in a different way to the way that we do, because although everybody might think that people will come to us automatically, they don't. Sometimes people are looking for some other solution, and some more likely to go to Phil initially than come to us, and we get them in crisis. So it's a way of preventing that crisis.
Thank you, Angela. And I've got Mark Simpson there, sorry.
Thank you, Chairman. It was pretty much on the lines that Councillor Chambers' comments were, to be honest with you. I think it's a very useful report. It's great to see so much proactive work being undertaken. Homelessness is always difficult. It must be exceptionally difficult under the current circumstances, and it's good to see us being so positive and helping where we can. And given that, Chairman, I'm pleased to move the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Simpson. Do I have any other comments or a second for that? Thank you.
Happy to second.
Councillor Davey. Lovely, thank you. So I've got proposed by Councillor Simpson and seconded by Councillor Davey. And any other comments? Anyone against? Because this is to note this report. So anyone against? No, that's great. Thank you. And we'll move on to agenda item 9, which is the capital programme. So this is a period 6 update to recommend to the board that we move a 215,000 from remedial works to flats to the disabled facility adaptation budget, and B, that we approve a move of £100,000 from remedial works to flats to the multi-trade budget. Do I have any questions on that one? No? Then if there's no comments, I will move that from the chair. Councillor Singh?
Seconded.
Thank you. That was seconded by, I think that was Councillor Simpson. I had Councillor Singh's hand up there, so I'm not quite sure.
No, I was seconding it, that's all.
Lovely, thank you, Councillor Singh. We'll move on to agenda item 9 then. This is the general... apologies, I'm just being informed that for agenda item 9, we need to take a formal vote because it's a recommendation, not a noting, that we move these. So our Clive will take us through the roll call. We've got a proposer for myself from the chair, second, Councillor Singh, and Clive will take us through the roll call.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Chambers.
4.
Councillor Davey.
4.
Councillor Deakin.
4.
Councillor Osborne.
4.
Councillor Farrow.
4.
Councillor Hayfield.
4.
Councillor Humphreys.
4.
Councillor Simpson.
4.
Councillor Singh.
4.
Councillor Simmons.
4.
Thank you.
And that's carried, thank you. We'll move on to agenda item 10, the General Fund Budgetary Control Report for the period ended the 30th September. Our recommendation to the board this evening is that report be noted and the board requests any further information it feels would assist in monitoring the budgets under the board's control. Do I have any comments or any questions? Okay, if there haven't any hands up, I will move that from the chair. Councillor Davey.
Seconded.
Thank you. And as that report is noted, if anyone has any objections or any comments, they raise them now. Otherwise, that will be carried. Thank you. We'll move to agenda item number 11, the Housing Revenue Account Budgetary Control Report 2020-2021 for the period ended 30th of September 2020. And the recommendation of the board is to consider if any further information is required. Do you have any comments or questions regarding the report? As there aren't any hands up there, I'll move that from the chair. Councillor Singh.
Seconded.
Thank you very much. So that's proposed by Councillor Simmons, seconded by Councillor Singh. Thank you. We'll move on to agenda item 12. This is the Treasury Management Update 2020-2021. And the recommendation to the board this evening is that the Treasury Management Report for the period up to the end of September 2020 be noted. Do I have any questions or any comments? Again, as I have no hands up that I can see. Just checking. Scrolling up and down. I'll move that from the chair. Councillor Simpson.
Second, Chairman.
Thank you. Oh, I've got Councillor Deakin's hand up there.
Oh, I was just seconding.
Thank you. Thank you. So we've got proposed by Councillor Simmons, seconded by Councillor Simpson. And that report was to be noted, so we can then move along to agenda item 13, which is that just to the exclusion of the press and public. The recommendation to the board that under section 100A 4 of the Local Government Act 1972 that the public and press be excluded from the meeting for the following items of business on the grounds that they involve the likely disclosure of exempt information as defined by Schedule 12A to the Act. I've just got some additional words there regarding item 14 relating to a specific council service area and could therefore identify individuals. It's not in the public interest for the details of this item to be considered in public prior to a final decision being made, which could impact on those employed in that service and those that use that service. Item 15 relates to a contractual arrangement between the council and an outside body, and it relates to the business interests of both bodies. The law and the council's contract standing orders allow negotiation of a contract as an exemption to those standing orders. And if the report is considered in public, it would impact on the ability of both parties to negotiate as required. Do I have a proposer for that? Moving into private and confidential. Councillor Davey. And a second. Councillor Hayfield. Councillor Hayfield, are you putting your hand up to confirm that you're seconding?
That was the plan.
Sorry, and just for the video, I think we need to just hear that. Thank you. Okay, so we will have to take a roll call.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Chambers.
4.
Councillor Davey.
4.
Councillor Deakin.
4.
Councillor Osborne.
4.
Councillor Farrow.
4.
Councillor Hayfield.
4.
Councillor Humphreys.
4.
Councillor Simpson.
4.
Councillor Singh.
4.
Councillor Simmons.
4. Thank you, and that's